Minnesota-Duluth has been pretty good the last few years at keeping teams' offensive production down. What do they do well defensively?
Just play hard away from the puck. They're five-man units on the ice. They don't give you a lot of time and space. They try to nullify you getting in the offensive zone and getting to the net, and they make that first good save. So they're a good defensive team that way as far as playing hard away from the puck.
I know last week you said that you wanted to start periods better, to start games better. Obviously that didn't happen this last weekend. What are you guys doing to make sure that you don't have that 2-0 hole, especially in a tough place like Amsoil?
Yeah, I know it's first half it wasn't an issue. Obviously, it was we were on the other side of it in the first half. In the second half, there's been some games together now where we've given up leads, and we know how important that is. Going down the stretch on doing that. There are things we're going to work on this week, mentally and physically on trying to alleviate that. But I think the other thing is, I think we built confidence in our group knowing that if you do go down, and we never want to do that, that you can come back to win games and tie games and win games to do that. So confidence in building on the offensive side. Defensively, have to making sure that the six guys that are on the ice are doing a job, and having that mental and physical focus, especially in the first 5 minutes. Everybody knows that first 5 minutes is a push from both teams to establish the game and establish momentum. And from there, it just isn't the first shift. It's the second and third shift after that you have to build that momentum. So, that's going to be a thing that we're going to stress this week, and we'll build our practices around game-like simulations or situations on doing that.
You kind of touched on it, but going down and being able to come back, just what does that say about your team's resilience and toughness?
No panic in our game. Having belief in your group, saying all the right things, addressing different situations. The first thing we addressed on Saturday was, our taking some unneeded penalties in the offensive zone, and giving a good power play in Miami a chance to gain momentum, in their game. So I think it's one of those things that our guys have belief in what we do as a group on the ice, and that there's no panic and there's a confidence of coming back. In saying that, as the teams you play against in the NCHC, the likelihood of doing that, it becomes very remote, especially when you wind down into the playoffs type of it. So that's why it's a key to make sure that you're hitting on all cylinders and making sure that you don't put yourself in that situation too many times.
Playing 2 games a week in college hockey, is there a worry about playing goaltenders too much, that they could get fatigued, or is that not a question?
Yeah, you know what, I think in college you have more control than you do at the pro level. I know in the NHL, with the travel, and then sometimes back-to-backs, obviously they don't like to do that and play goaltenders. But in our situation, we control the environment that we're in, meaning that a goaltender should be able to play 2 games. And then it's how you manage your group and your goaltenders for that week, as far as rest, how many reps they get, different things like that to set them up, for success on a weekend if they do happen to play 2 games. I don't think that becomes I guess something that you worry about burning out a goalie if you play him, too much. Just because in college, I think you have the affordability or luxury, unlike the NHL, to build a week to give them success for rest and recovery.
Where are you guys at with picking a goalie for Friday night now?
I'll tell you what, there'll be a goalie in on Friday night, and that's all I'm gonna leave it at right there.
Duluth coming off kind of an upsetting weekend for them, getting swept. Do you imagine they'll come in here a bit hungrier?
Well, for sure they will. It's just not Duluth, getting swept. Any team that gets swept, it doesn't leave a good taste in your mouth, and it's always builds a week of urgency in that week of practice leading up to a game. And, I think one of the things, too, that leads into it is, the chase for the Penrose. Everybody wants that cup. We want that cup, and it doesn't matter who it is. We're going to have a focus knowing that it's the only 2 games that we get to play against them in the regular season. So, they'll have a focus and we'll have a focus, and it's going to be one of those things that, we had success this weekend, but we're going to be hungry in our week of practice here too.
How much has changed your power play to have a right-handed shot that can one-time the puck like Shane?
Yeah, good question. Well, you saw from Friday to Saturday night, the difference of having that threat to shoot a puck on a pass across, a chance to move a puck if time and space taken away from him. You know, he's a high-end offensive player that has great vision, a great shot, and when you have, you know, an option of a Kawaguchi on one flank and you have a Pinto on the other flank with a Kerstead up at the middle top, that's a three pretty good players that can make plays even though there's time and space taken away from you. So yeah, he's been a nice addition. And one of the things with Shane too, he's very versatile on where he can play. I know World Juniors, they had him in the middle, they had him down in net front. They had him on a flank. There's different places he could play, but that's what good players do. They can be very versatile and have success.
What do you like about having Jasper in the high slot there?
Well, number one, you know, he wins draws, you know, so now you got two guys out there on one of the units that, you know, you got Pinto as a righty and Weatherby as a lefty that can win the draw initially, and that's so vitally important on a power play instead of losing it and chasing down on killing 30 seconds and trying to get in on a breakout. So, yeah, it's a big deal, but he's a big, strong body that is tough to defend, and he recovers pucks. You know when it's a shot retrieve mentality on a power play, you always have to get that puck back, and he does a pretty good job with his body and his stick to retrieve pucks back too. Not to mention finishing plays.
Where is Colton at health-wise, and how difficult is it playing a game without having your captain out there?
Well, he'll be here this weekend. We just got done a practice just right now, and he looked very good on the ice, and it was only Monday here, and it was a wise choice leaving him at home, getting him rested and recovered to be 100% healthy for the series in Duluth this weekend as our captain in the lineup this weekend.
Saturday night, what went into Rieger seemed like he was getting a lot of minutes at the end of the game, maybe more so than the first and second periods.
Without saying too much from internally in our locker room, there were some things that were addressed after the second period as far as discipline, and you know, some guys, we shortened the bench a little bit because of sending a message to our team, and one of the things that we do is keep guys accountable, and that got Josh Rieger into the game. You know, he played in the second period, but he played a lot in the third period, and he did a very good job. You know, I got to commend him for it. It's not an easy job being in his situation as an older guy, and you know, being in on the lineup and getting, you know, limited reps sometimes. But that goes to a true testament of how team first he is and how he keeps himself prepared and focused, and you need guys like that to come into your group that are focused, because if you just put him in the lineup and he's not buying in or he's not ready to go, then you don't have a lot of success, and that's how you have a good team. You know, we mention all the Kawaguchis and Adams mishmashes, and we should, you know, they're very good players, but the other part of it is having guys like Josh Riegers and Casey Johnsons in your lineup that come in and do an outstanding job in their role.
Brad Duluth's power play very good. Is that more the emphasis now on not taking the penalties?
No, yeah, well, yeah, 100%. Yeah, the biggest thing is having discipline in your game, and if you're going to take a penalty, it has to be a penalty that's, I guess, warranted. When you take stick penalties in the offensive zone that are 200 feet away from your net, stick penalties, I'm saying, those are ones that you can't kill off, and like you saw on Saturday night, you know, they score a goal because of that, and we know what we're dealing with. You know, we have a very good power play. They have a good power play. You know, they're running around 30% in conference play. 37% of their offense comes from their power play. You know, we know that's their bread and butter, and we have to make sure that we know, number one, we are disciplined, don't take a whole lot, but yet still play hard. And number two is when we get on the penalty kill, we need to do a job against a very good power play unit.